Coming up on this online exclusive Q30 Newscast, we have the latest on COVID-19 and Quinnipiac's response. Plus a pass-fail option for online classes, new information surrounding that. And we bring you the latest numbers of those who have tested positive in Connecticut and across the country. All this and more coming up on this online exclusive. Hello and welcome to our first online exclusive of the Q30 Newscast. I'm Brooke Riley coming to you from my home in Cornwall, New York. Some big news for Quinnipiac students breaking yesterday as the Faculty Senate voted unanimously approving the option of making classes pass-fail this semester. With classes now online for the remainder of the semester, a petition has circulated calling for classes to be graded on a pass-fail basis instead of by letter. The petition on change.org has over 2,000 signatures. Vice Chair of the Faculty Senate, Margarita Diaz, tells Q30 that this was approved in a 16-0 vote yesterday. Q30 reached out to the university for further details, and we are awaiting a response. Stay with us as we learn more. The Student Government Association held a virtual town hall yesterday for students to ask questions and express their concerns about the coronavirus and its impact on Quinnipiac. Members of the executive board answered a variety of questions surrounding the topics of pass-fail classes, refunds, when students can once again return to university housing to retrieve their belongings, and more. Read the full story on our website at q30.tv. SGA plans to hold more of these virtual town hall-style meetings in the future. Along with SGA, other organizations are moving forward virtually as well. Upon learning that students will not be returning to campus, the Office of Student Centers and Student Involvement encouraged student leaders to continue running their organizations as they would as if we were on campus, except virtually.
We have some groups that are up and running and hosting virtual meetings and planning virtual events and are trying to kind of move forward business as usual. And then, we definitely have other groups that I think, have not met at all.
Although some have not, many organizations are running with it, including the Student Programming Board, who is continuously hosting events on Zoom and Instagram. The Big Event, who is encouraging students to still participate in community service projects at home in response to COVID-19, and Greek Life, who will be hosting a virtual Greek Week next week, which is laid out similarly to the in-person events. And to continue with more virtual events, the Office of Undergraduate Admissions held a virtual admitted student experience on Saturday. The experience included several Zoom sessions with students, faculty, and staff members. There were several sessions surrounding the student experience, and each school hosted its own session. More specific sessions will be announced as they are decided. According to an email from President Judy Olian, there were over 3,000 attendees in Saturday's sessions. With this new virtual world that we are living in, many normally scheduled meetings and classes have moved to the online video chatting software Zoom. But is Zoom really safe to use? Several universities, including Arizona State University and the University of Southern California, are reporting that intruders are entering class Zoom calls making racist comments. Vice President and Chief Information and Technology Officer Fred Tarka sent an email to the Quinnipiac community notifying them of the issues occurring. He said, quote, "Our information services team has been aggressively investigating and testing various options in order to apply settings that will help mitigate the risks of this occurring. Please watch for emails and MyQ announcements over the next few days for instructions about how applying certain Zoom meeting settings will improve security," end quote. With all of the uncertainty surrounding COVID-19, the one thing that Quinnipiac seniors and graduate students can look forward to is still having their commencement ceremonies. Although they will be held at a later date, President Judy Olian assured them that in-person events will still be held to celebrate their accomplishments. Dates for the ceremonies are still to be determined, but students and families are encouraged to stay updated at commencement.qu.edu as the event gets closer. As the amount of people diagnosed with the virus continues to rise, healthcare professionals are in need of more medical supplies. Quinnipiac is donating personal protective equipment to healthcare professionals across the state of Connecticut. The schools of nursing, health sciences, and medicine had a surplus of supplies to donate. Quinnipiac is continuing to help the local community during this pandemic by providing first responders with a place to self-isolate. 50 units in the Whitney Village are being made available for firefighters and police officers to stay in after potential exposure to the virus so they do not bring it home to their families. In regards to Quinnipiac, Hamden Mayor Kurt Lang said, quote, "Their true partnership during this time is essential, and I am so thankful they immediately stepped up to the plate to help as we work to maintain the health of our first responders and our community," end quote. The town of Hamden and the state of Connecticut are continuing to respond to the coronavirus as new information is released. Jennifer Cuevas has more from her home in Stamford, Connecticut. Jennifer?
Thank you, Brooke. Quinnipiac is not alone, as other colleges and universities have begun to make arrangements to house patients who test positive for COVID-19 and first responders. Central, Southern, and Western Connecticut State are preparing their residence halls to serve as places for coronavirus patients to self-isolate. Over the weekend, Yale University said it will have 300 beds made available for New Haven police and firefighters who may need to self-isolate. Police and firefighters are amongst the essential workers who fear bringing the virus back home to their families. More colleges and universities in Connecticut and beyond are assisting in the fight against COVID-19. Park visitors at Sleeping Giant State Park will no longer have access to the Mount Carmel Tower in an effort to keep visitors socially distanced. The tower was closed nearly 2 weeks ago because the ramp leading to the top is only 4 feet wide, 2 feet less than the recommended 6 feet of separation. Park Supervisor Jill Scheibenflug said everyone likes to gather at the top and it gets crowded.
I mean, if there's nice weather, we're busy this time of year anyway, but I do see a real increase since everything else is closed. I mean, don't forget, everything else is, but you can't go.
Sleeping Giant State Park, along with other state parks, will remain open and the park's operating hours remain as usual. Hamden Mayor Kurt Lang hosted a virtual town hall meeting on Sunday via Facebook Live. Mayor Lang addressed a number of confirmed cases in Connecticut, preventative measures against COVID-19, and answered viewers' questions. Lang's main message was to inform viewers of the rapid speed in which the disease is spreading and to urge everyone to do their part to help contain the surge that will happen in the next 2 weeks.
They're going to continue to go up for at least 2 weeks in this surge. And if the surge is going up for 2 weeks and it's doubling every few days, you can do the math. The numbers are huge. Every step we take reduces the surge, will reduce the number of people that have to go to the hospital, will reduce the number of people that die. It's that serious and that straightforward.
The CDC confirmed 3,128 cases have been reported in Connecticut on March 31st. 69 COVID-19 associated deaths have also been confirmed. The counties with the highest number of confirmed cases are Fairfield and New Haven County. Fairfield County has 1,800 in laboratory confirmed cases. New Haven County has 517. Over the weekend, President Trump mentioned the possibility of a mandatory quarantine for the tri-state area. Governor Lamont responded on Saturday saying he could not speculate on what President Trump meant by a mandatory quarantine. That's all I have for local news. Back to you.
Thanks, Jennifer. With Quinnipiac students being home, bars closed, and restaurants only being open for takeout, business is slowing down for well-known Hamden eateries. Kay Pattyfoot has the story.
COVID-19 is not only affecting school districts and hospitals, but local businesses as well. Two Hamden restaurant owners, Charlie and Jared, talked with me through FaceTime and Zoom earlier this morning.
Stop serving food and liquor in the restaurant. We've still been able to do takeout and delivery.
40-50% of business that we would be doing. But what's hurting us the most is, we have the storefront, but we also have a truck and a trailer, which have created a presence on, all the college universities in the state, as well as Western Mass and stuff like that. And every single event has gotten canceled.
Charlie owns Enchiladas and Jared owns Spuds. With reports saying the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to get worse, both owners are fearful.
This could be a hell of a bad 2 weeks.
They already had to cut staff due to the virus.
We've kept on a few of the kitchen staff and a few of the waitresses just to help, bring food out to the customers.
I have 2 main people that work with me and then a bunch of other people for fillers that, get 10 to 15 hours a week.
But both remain hopeful. Customers are still ordering out to eat, and Charlie said some are ordering more than usual.
They're getting pints of salsa, pints of guacamole, big bags of chips.
Charlie is hoping to do something for the senior students when COVID-19 is under control. At home in West Hartford, Kay Pattyfoot, Q30 News.
The coronavirus is not only hard on businesses, but it is also making finances difficult for some college students who normally work to pay their expenses. In response to this, the university created and fundraised for a student care fund. Students currently enrolled at Quinnipiac who are experiencing financial hardship as a result of COVID-19 are invited to apply for this. Applications will be reviewed by the Office of Financial Aid and awarded by the Dean of Students Office. The most that a single student can receive is $1,000. Although the majority of Quinnipiac students are home, the university has made exceptions for a few students to remain on campus. The majority of these students are international, making it difficult or unsafe for them to get home during the pandemic. The Office of Residential Life has moved all of the students to the Hill residence halls and has 2 students living in each suite in separate bedrooms. Quinnipiac Dining is providing these students with meals each day. Director of International Students Sarah Driscoll has worked with the students to overcome any issues that may have rose during the coronavirus.
International students face several regulations related to their student visa. And so we are kind of constantly monitoring the federal regulations and how those have been amended to account for this situation.
This pandemic continues to impact the entire country and world. The government is taking extreme measures in response. Kaylee Heffler has more from her home in Burlington, Massachusetts. Kaylee?
Thanks, Brooke. COVID-19 continues to spread across the world. As of this morning, the global death toll is over 43,000 people, and the national death toll is over 4,000 people. Amid the continuing increase in outbreaks of coronavirus in the U.S., President Trump has extended restrictions on social distancing until April 30th. Originally, the president wanted to see the country return to normal by Easter on April 12th. A new diagnostic test will provide results for coronavirus in as little as 5 minutes, making it as easy to test for as the flu. The test was developed by medical device company Abbott. The company is beginning to ship the product out Monday, which means urgent care clinics and doctors' offices will have the test soon.
With those tests being approved for Abbott and for others, these are available around the country. They're planning to scale up the number of tests that can be put out throughout the country over the next month, and patients can get the answer within as little as 15 to 5 minutes.
The test received an emergency use authorization by the FDA, and their hope is this new test will help slow the spread of coronavirus. The U.S. State Department has retrieved over 18,000 U.S. citizens from abroad as of Saturday. Over 33,000 of U.S. citizens were still stranded abroad as of Friday. Citizens have been seeking assistance from the U.S. government to aid in helping to get them home to the states. Over 178 flights were needed to retrieve citizens from countries around the world, and there are still citizens stranded abroad. Peru has a handful of U.S. citizens that are now placed in quarantine in a hostel after people staying in that hostel tested positive for the coronavirus. The Peru government is working with the U.S. to get them back to the states. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo tweeted on Sunday, quote, "Grateful to our partners in the Peruvian military for their assistance to Americans in remote parts of the country. Our team won't stop until we get all #Americans home who wish to return," end quote. Governor Cuomo of New York has made a plea to medical workers who may not be dealing with coronavirus as seriously in their own states to come to New York and help control the spread of the virus there. On Monday, Cuomo said, quote, "I am asking healthcare professionals across the country, if you don't have a healthcare crisis in your community, please come help us in New York right now," end quote. A makeshift hospital at the Jacob K. Javits Convention Center in Manhattan received its first patients Monday, and a naval ship, the USNS Comfort, arrived in Manhattan also on Monday to help aid New York hospitals in the fight against coronavirus. No corona-positive patients will be treated on the ship or in the makeshift hospital, but instead act as a referral hospital for people to free up New York hospital beds and ventilators. New York currently has over 75,000 patients testing positive for coronavirus, making up half of the cases in the country. 43,000 of those cases were found in New York City alone. That is all the national news I have for you today. Back to you, Brooke.
Thank you, Kaylee. With everyone being home, it is important to remember to go outside and get some fresh air. The weather wasn't too great here in New York the last few days, but I'm hoping that changes. Luca Triant is at his home in Stamford, Connecticut with a look at the weather for the tri-state area. Luca?
Thank you, guys. I'm currently sitting outside my house in this beautiful day with temperatures all over the place. It's cold, it's hot. We don't really know what it is. And especially since we're not at school right now, who knows what we might be facing where we're living right now. But I have the numbers for a few different places where most students might be living in or near. So let's take a look. With Hamden and with many people living near Hamden in Connecticut, today we do have a high of 53 and a low of 37 with partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow will be much of the same with a similar high of 54 and a little bit higher of a low with 42, warming up a little bit. Friday, though, will be raining with a high of 52 and low of 42. Those temperatures are staying alike, but they are set to be warming up in the coming days. However, for Friday, make sure to bring an umbrella or a jacket to wherever you're going if you are going everywhere. And remember to be safe as always. Going with New York, we do have a high of 55 and low of 39. That's today with some partly cloudy skies. Thursday, we do have a high of 56 and a low of 44 with also partly cloudy skies. Again, temperatures are similar for these 2 days. Friday, however, it will be a little different. It will be raining with a high of 52 and low of 45. Then moving on to Boston, Massachusetts, we do have lower temperatures all across the board. Today we are seeing a high of 43 and a low of 39 with partly cloudy skies. And on Thursday and Friday, it will be both raining. So they will be catching a bit more rain than down here in Connecticut with a high of 45 and a low of 42 on Thursday and a high of 47 and a low of 40 on Friday. Temperatures may be getting higher and the days may be getting longer, but as we are still stuck at home and we're raring to go outside at every opportunity, just always make sure to be safe and to take care of yourselves. This has been the Weather Update. I'm Luca Triant. Back to you guys on the screen.
Thanks, Luca. And some good news for Division I spring sports student athletes. The NCAA ruled on Monday night that student athletes whose seasons were lost due to COVID-19 will be eligible for another season of their respective sports. This decision gives flexibility to each school to make its own decisions on how it will work. Although the winter sports season ended before playoffs and tournaments were completed, winter sports student athletes will not have the opportunity to return. Before we wrap things up, Q30's Hannah Mirsky shares with us how major companies are giving back to first responders who are fighting the coronavirus on the front line.
Big-name companies are using their time and supplies to give back to healthcare workers across the nation. Starbucks is one of those companies.
From now until May 3rd, Starbucks will be giving away free brewed coffees to first responders who work alongside patients fighting coronavirus. The Starbucks Foundation also donated $500,000 to Direct Relief, an organization that delivers personal protective equipment and medical supplies. They also donated to Operation Gratitude, another organization that will deliver 50,000 packages and handwritten letters to first responders and healthcare workers. The shoe company Crocs is working on a new initiative called Sharing a Free Pair for Healthcare. Any active healthcare workers fighting coronavirus will be able to request for a free pair on the Crocs website to help them clean up easier before returning home. The healthcare workers appreciate the effort and think it is a great way to sanitate properly.
And I think it's great. You wear your Crocs at work and then you can sanitize them, you can bleach them down, you can leave them in your locker or you can leave them in your car and not even bring it to your house. So I think it's awesome.
Starting this April, Ford Motors and General Electric Healthcare are planning on using their supplies to make ventilators since hospitals are running low. The plan is to produce 1,500 by the end of April and about 50,000 within the next 100 days. The craft company Joann's is encouraging people at home to help make face masks to donate to local hospitals by issuing face mask kits. The kits contain fabric, elastic, and other necessary materials, and after you're done, bring them back to Joann's and they will donate them. I'm Hannah Mirsky, reporting from Flanders, New Jersey for Q30 News.
That is all the time that we have for this online exclusive Q30 Newscast. But be sure to stay up to date with all of our content at Q30.tv and follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Q30 News and on Instagram at Q30 Television. Remember to stay home, wash your hands, and continue to practice social distancing. For everyone behind the scenes, I'm Brooke Riley. Stay safe.